What inspired you to become an astronaut?
Well, I always want to go to space. I'm watching the movie, science fiction, and the going up in space using the rockets really fascinate me. And I studied aeronautic science at university and worked at the heavy industries. And all the time I want to become an astronaut. And I was lucky to be selected back in 1996 as one of the Japanese astronauts.
So feeling like when you first went into space in 2005 with Discovery?
Yes, 2005, and I was on the American Space Shuttle, and that was after the Columbia accident, which was 2003, and we waited like 2 years before the Space Shuttle become more safer and more reliable. And then after a long wait, I went to space, and I feel just, wow, this is very cool. And what we did, I did 3 spacewalks, and I helped build the space station with the robotic arm and bring lots of new science experiments for the space station crew. And although the space trip was fun, I felt that staying on orbit for 6 months may be more interesting because we do lots of different science every day. So after my first flight, my next goal became the long duration flight member to stay in space station for 6 months, which became true in 2009.
You tweeted from space. So what, you had a computer and then you just tweeted, just like that?
Yeah, it's actually kind of new thing. Until 2 years ago, the astronauts, they can do only email to ground. And right now, we can do the net surfing, going to the net and just do everything you want to see. Now we can take pictures in the digital camera and upload them directly to, say, like Twitter. And before, we have to send it down to Houston, and they will process the image, then uplink the image. So it's a combination of internet technology and also digital filming technology. And I was lucky to become the first tweeter to send the image from space directly. So then we got a lot of great response from all over the world. And most of them, they didn't know that the space station exists. They didn't even know that you can do the tweeting from space.
When you were in space and you look back to the Earth, what does it feel like? It's so small?
It's big actually, and it's very bright. It's amazingly bright, and it's very dynamic. And as it rotates, it changes its shape, changes its color. It's very vivid. And although you see Earth every day, it looks different in every single moment because Earth is alive. So it's not the material; it's the living organ, and it's that really fascinates me. The Earth keeps changing, giving us a different view, and then you will really appreciate the meaning of life in space.
What's the general reading culture in Singapore today?
Generally, we can say that we have some improvement after all this year hard work. National Library Board, we have quite a good borrowing rate. We have 33 million loan per year, and the visitorship is 37 millions a year at our 24 outlets at the public library. So consider, if we compare to a few years ago, the loan rate has been increasing. So we should be happy that we could work with different partners to reach out to them and also to encourage them to read. If we are doing on our own, we could not reach out to so many people.
Do Malaysians in general read less today?
Not really. As I said, it depends on how you define reading. If you look at the social media and if they are reading their handphones, their messages, if they're reading tablets, they're reading iPads, so I think the reading culture has actually improved. And this is partly because of the intervention programs taken by the government, by the schools, and interestingly by certain private organizations too in Malaysia. For example, in schools we have specific reading programs embedded within the language classrooms, where students are made to go to the library, where students are now asked to read books and then to record the books that they've read and then to share with their friends. And that is one activity to summarize.
Do people actually go to the libraries to read?
Yes, in many places, but you don't have, many people have false impressions that as if our children, our people do not really go to the library. Actually they do, but the problem, as I told you before, is that children educational policy in Indonesia does not really stand on the right track. That is because they give the impressions that if you want to be able to read, you have to read very demanding texts, academic texts, school textbooks. I think that creates a very false impression. Children are actually like reading, they love reading, but do not impose them at the very beginning by reading textbooks, which I think is very cognitively burdensome for them.
Books expensive in the Philippines?
No, they're not. They're quite cheap. In fact, they said, if Filipinos do not read, how come book fairs are so successful and they are held in malls? And between buying a book in the US and buying it in the Philippines, it's quite a bargain. But you see, if you're not earning well, you'd rather buy food or clothes for your children than a book. But they're not really expensive. But if you think of the average earner, it would still be a luxury. But they're very available. What are selling well are bargain books in second-hand books from developed countries like the United States in outlets called book sale, where they're very, very cheap and you can see people buying lots of these books.
More interesting interviews are on the way for 2012, so just stay tuned to Viewpoint. Have a very happy new year and see you next year. สวัสดีค่ะ